So today, our incredible shrinking president laid out his strategy to fight Mother Nature, and it's hilarious.
The 12 warmest years in recorded history have all come in the last 15 years. Last year, temperatures in some areas of the ocean reached record highs, and ice in the Arctic shrank to its smallest size on record, faster than most models had predicted it would. These are facts.
About those facts. Every major press outlet has admitted world temperatures haven't changed in 16 years and that climate predictions were wildly exaggerated. And those skeptics threatened for bucking the consensus, they were right all along. And about those some areas of the ocean that are getting warmer, it's called the globe, Mr. President, not some areas of the globe. That's why they take global temperatures. Talk about denying science. Obama makes flat earthers look like Charles Darwin. He's like one of those Japanese airmen from World War II, stuck on an island for decades with no idea that the war's been over. So how is this blather hurting us? Well, it's making us vulnerable to oil-rich enemies. Obama kills pipelines and delays fracking while bowing before creeps who hate us. Results, we've got a dying economy, we've got no jobs, less safety, all as Obama's shoveling billions of green energy, which is just the mob without the meatballs. All this so the president can feel cool around Matt Damon. So to create a distraction from his swamp of scandals, Obama must wage a war on coal, which is a war on people who aren't Matt Damon. Coal workers don't hobnob among the Georgetown elite. No, they actually work, producing something the globe needs, unlike Matt Damon. Listen up, you climate hags. According to the Emergency Disasters Database, almost 2 million people die each year inhaling smoke from makeshift fuels like animal dung and wood, all because they lack coal. I guess that doesn't play too well in the patios of D.C. or Bel Air, where the only climate change that matters is which way the wind blows.
Are you done yet?
Thanks for distracting me through that. That was really helpful.
I thought I was checking.
You know what's funny? I got a great metaphor for this whole climate change thing. It's when you prepare for years for something and then it doesn't happen, kind of like your colonoscopy this morning. You prepared for all night,
up, didn't you?
Yeah, you prepared for it and then you showed up and it canceled it. That's what America's going through. We're getting it in the butt and now it's canceled.
You know something? That's a very personal thing. I was up all night long in the toilet and they canceled the thing on the table.
So now you know how America feels under President Obama's environmental programs.
Listen, let me just put it this way. You know that half of Miami is going to be underwater in the next 20 years?
Where's your evidence for that?
I got plenty of evidence.
You have no evidence, just like the president.
The same place, exactly. Bob gets his numbers from the same place.
You guys really think there's no global warming, right?
Everybody admits.
Hold on. Within the first 5 minutes of that speech today, he iterated, he spoke two things that have been completely debunked. Number one, 97% of scientists acknowledge. Really, didn't we go through this time and time again that scientists do not acknowledge that the globe is warming at the rate that they're saying? In fact, here it is. New York Times talks about the plateau in temperatures over the last 15 years. New York Times, not exactly, kind of a friend of Obama's, admitting that the temperatures have plateaued. And also saying that in recent years, 12 of the last 15 years are the highest on record. Stop it. This has been debunked.
Well, you tell the polar bears that are floating around on icebergs.
I don't know where he's getting the ideas.
But Bob, you can't keep repeating the same cliches.
Do you remember because they debunked those claims so that the warmers said, it's not global warming anymore, it's climate change because temperatures are actually falling? Obama didn't seem to get that message.
I'd like to hear what these two have to say about it because you guys are lost. Go ahead.
Well, the thing about what Bob is doing is reflecting what the president does, which is by echoing the same kind of generic assumptions that we have bought for how many years that are untrue. And when faced with facts, all you do is go flat earther, polar bears.
I didn't say it today.
Yeah, that's because I beat you to it. Andrea, the only network who carried this all the way through was the Weather Channel. That's how much people trust President Obama on this garbage.
And when you have everything going on in the world, the president's talking about the weather.
Yes.
While 00 Dorkface runs around the world, and the news that everyone missed yesterday on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, Greg, is that the United States government just forgot to put him on the Interpol list and issue an arrest warrant. That's how he was able to use his passport.
What do you call him? 00 Dork?
00 Dork, Ed Snowden, okay? Big news today. We're being embarrassed by the Chinese and the Russians, and he's talking about the weather.
Exactly.
And he's trying to distract from all this other stuff to rally the base that's angry at the NSA scandal and get them excited again. Look, they funnel money into green energy. This is how Al Gore has made his millions. It's a big money-making scheme, and that New York Times story, that is an inconvenient truth.
If you guys think there's no global warming, then you really lost it.
But the thing is, you keep saying that with no evidence.
Okay,
Dana,
what's the evidence?
What is the political? No, we've already gone through the evidence while you were half asleep. What is the political implications here? What's going on? Why is he doing this?
Let's just even say that you do believe that the Earth is warming, and let's say that you think that there are just some areas dealing with it. The problem is every country has to pitch in. Two of those countries, if you're going to solve a global problem, has to be China and Russia. Given the events of the past week, I have a feeling that that cooperation is probably not going to happen. President Obama today, I think, did something very wimpy. He went to Georgetown University to give this speech. What would have been really bold is if he had gone to, let's say, North Dakota or West Virginia, all the places that we are expecting to supply us with all of the energy we have until the unicorn dream of Solyndra is realized. All those people that work hard, get themselves dirty to make sure that every single iPad works every time your kid wants to turn it on. The other thing that was a huge political problem today, I think that the president once again split the baby on Keystone Pipeline. If you support the Keystone Pipeline, he gave you a little bit of hope that, yes, I've said it could go forward, but if you're against the pipeline, but only if it doesn't increase emissions.
Yeah.
An impossible standard to meet. And yet so what happens when you split the baby? The baby dies.
You know, if he went to
disgusting
North
metaphor.
Dakota, why would he go to North Dakota? He could get booed out there. Why not go to a safe place?
Exactly.
Well, I'm in politics.
If you go
I'd
to
go with
Georgetown University, don't you think that
what's
everybody...
wrong with that?
I think it was very wimpy.
It's safe.
It's a home of the naive.
It's safe for him, and it goes back to the theory this is designed specifically to rally the base. The base that's upset with him, the base that caused those Gallup numbers to show him drop very drastically last week. They're not happy.
Yeah, well,
Eric, do you think he's doing this because he's going to okay the Keystone Pipeline?
No, I think he's doing this because he's embroiled in scandal upon scandal, and he needs to somehow save his legacy. So let's go with something like climate change. Let's bring that one back up. It really... You know, he lost on cap and trade. He failed on cap and trade. So ever since then, he's trying to get back to this EPA, making the EPA his de facto cap and trade bill law, whatever. And this is kind of it was kind of a directive. You have to go after coal companies. When he was Senator Obama, becoming President Obama, he says we will necessarily bankrupt coal companies. You want to
But earlier than that, he supported it.
But he doubled down on this, though.
Yeah.
He doubled down on his attack on coal.
Listen, can I remind you, it was Republican Richard Nixon who started the EPA, 1 and 2. The Clean Water Act and Clean Air Act have been valuable contributions to this country. And the idea that we sort of dismiss them as some sort of regulatory nightmare for people was just crazy.
I think we're reacting to a panic-driven hysteria that was designed to make money for people who wanted to make money off the end of coal, and it's failed, and we're now figuring that out.
Also, I think that he could have given a nod today to the people in the industry and the engineers who have worked so hard to come up with some very good clean coal technologies that have allowed us to get to a point where we have lower emissions today than when they wanted to get the Kyoto Protocol passed. The Kyoto Protocol was to get emissions in the United States below 1992 levels, and we have done that already. So now we have to do something yet again that will... I don't understand what he's chasing, Bob. I think he's chasing political donations.
One thing, this may surprise you guys, I am for fracking, one of the few liberals, and that's because my friend Danny Harton down in West Virginia taught me about it.
He told you the facts.
He taught me the facts. But
Facts
here's the
help
thing.
you, Bob.
I just want to know, though, why it is we can't get natural gas out of the ground, we got so much of it, and get it into cars. That it would work.
We can. It's just,
well, why don't we do it?
Because it's an expensive transition. You have to retrofit all the cars.
Which we should. We've done.
We should be. But think about the way natural gas is delivered. It's a gas, so it has to be. You have to literally hook up every gas station to a natural gas processing plant. It's a lot of infrastructure. But you know what? For $1 trillion that we spent on stimulus,
and there are people who are willing to do it, like T. Boone Pickens, and there's a Natural Gas Act sitting in Congress, in the House and the Senate, that the president has said that he is willing to get on board and support, but he doesn't do it. He gives that lip service. And if you look at the polls, and I will consistently say this, and I will concede this, the gospel-preaching environmentalists who preach this like a religion to continue padding their pockets with this, they have convinced the public that something is happening. But nobody believes, Bob, when you ask them, is this a crisis? Does it require taxpayer dollars? People go, no, why are we spending money on this?
They do not indicate in polls that it's a crisis, but the idea of suggesting, how many people are there on the globe?
And they don't want
7 billion?
our money, tax dollars going towards it either.
Well, they also don't want their kids facing a crisis 50 years down the road.
And they won't.
And also would love their kids
Obama
to have
can
jobs
stop it.
today.
By the way,
And heat.
Bob, your friend Danny, natural gas burns a hell of a lot cleaner than coal or any other fuel in the world, and President Obama has finally come around to embracing natural gas, at least as an alternative.
It took me a
pretty
long
much
time to come around.
If there's any savior to his presidency, legacy-wise, it's the fact that he is bringing more energy to the market in America, and it's because of natural gas. Sooner rather than later, he should embrace it.
Didn't you own most of
fully,
natural
like
gas in
Andrew
the United States?
I was involved in the natural gas business for a while.
Okay.
Does
30
anyone here
seconds.
really think that the United Nations is going to go forward with try to pass this new UN framework? Okay, so once again, it's a speech about nothing, for nothing, and tomorrow morning he's going to go on what I think is a good trip to Africa. But all these people that he gave the speech to, and all their private jets, that they love to give money to the Democrat Party to talk about global climate change, it is a pipe dream and not the kind of pipe that we need.
Listen, I will concede one thing Andrea said. This does rally the base. It is true the environmentalists are a big part of the Democratic base, and it does make them feel good about it, but it also makes them convinced that there is a problem, and we're not about to turn a blind eye to it. Obama was feeding
Why didn't he do it? Why now, Bob? Why all of a sudden now? I mean, if this is such a pressing
maybe
problem,
it's tax time or
why
it's
didn't
NSA time.
Why didn't he talk about it before the election? Well, if this is so important, if this is the biggest threat of our time, why didn't we know about this big plan he had?
It's politically ridiculous to talk about something like that.
And now it's politically helps him get out his base in 2014.
If I were managing that campaign, he certainly would not have talked about it.
And I think he's lost total control of the news cycle, and he's desperately trying to get it back with headlines tomorrow that they'll probably give him.
Mr. President, you outnumbered here.
He's the Seinfeld president. His
what?
speeches are about nothing.
Coming
Coming up.
Do you remember the soup Nazi?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
What?